This is YGTV and the YG Stage, brought to you by Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Circle Electric. I'm your host, Andy Wines, president of GreenUp Solutions, here on set at Serendipity Labs. Young Guns is a growing group of entrepreneurs and free thinkers that are sharing new ways to grow your business, build your brand, and make an impact. YG Stage is one of 4 shows here on YGTV where we feature business owners, CEOs, subject matter experts, and maybe even you to inspire, innovate, and break the rules of business. For more content shaking up the business industry, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our podcast, or find all the links on younggunsmovement.com. Today we welcome Mike Schnitzka, author, keynote speaker, and world record holder. Let's welcome Mike to the stage. How are you, sir?
I'm very good.
So, what are we talking about today?
Escaping the Velvet Rut.
The Velvet Rut. You've used that term a lot. Where does that come from?
I grew up as a child. My father explained to me, and I'll get to that in just a minute, a little bit more in detail, but people live in a hole that they know they should get out of, but it's lined in velvet, so it feels comfortable.
Okay.
But they know they should get out of that.
All right, so we're going to talk about being stuck in that hole and how to get out of it?
I'll explain how I get out of it. Hopefully that'll motivate other people to see that they should get out of it.
All right, so maybe I just need to wait and listen to the speech because I just want to hear where this Velvet Rut's going.
Exactly.
All right, stay tuned.
Thanks.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop, whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Circle Electric is a 35-year-old commercial, industrial, and healthcare electrical contractor with engineers and designers on staff, backed by the most technical and well-trained master and journeyman electricians. Whether it's an equipment move, new building, or commercial remodel, from pre-construction all the way through startup, primary power, branch power, or low-voltage systems, we're here to support you. Our 24/7 on-call service department is here to meet your electrical needs for our industrial and healthcare customers. You always hear safety first. We are safety always. Circle Electric will maintain electrical reliability for business continuity.
So once again, thanks Andy for introducing me today. My name is Mike Schnitzka. I'm a world record holding ultramarathon canoe racer. So I'll explain that, what that means. A marathon typically is a 26-mile event, whether that's running or biking or whatever that is. An ultra is 100 miles or longer. So I'm an ultra marathon canoe racer. I am in the Guinness Book of Records. My partner and I, it's a 2-man canoe. We set the world's record canoeing down the Mississippi River in the fastest time. So how long is that? That's 2,348 miles. And my partner and I did that in 23 days, 9 hours, and 51 minutes. Now, this is a racing canoe. This isn't a big, fat, heavy, stable aluminum canoe. This is a long, skinny, very tippy racing canoe. So here's the interesting part. So it took us 23 days to get down from the top of Minnesota to 100 miles south of New Orleans. We never got out of that canoe once for 23 days, ever. We slept in it, we ate in it, we did everything in it. So let your mind go on what everything means. On top of that, we each paddled 21 hours a day for 23 days. The first 2 days we didn't sleep at all. That was our 48-hour sprint. Went to 3 hours a day, and then we didn't sleep the last 2 days. That's our sprint finish. So 21 hours a day, I pulled on a canoe paddle as hard as you can pull. When my sleep time was ready, I went and slid underneath the cover of the canoe. I slept for 3 hours. My partner paddled by himself. He had to endure wind and waves and barge traffic all by himself while I slept. When I woke up, we switched. I paddled by myself for 3 hours, and then we were together for 18. I can't describe to you how hard that is mentally and physically. The walls that you come up are constant. You constantly have that person on your shoulder screaming at you to stop paddling. Everything hurts. If you could just rest, all that pain will go away. But you can't listen to that. You have to keep driving on. So that's one of the records I hold. The other record I hold is the Wisconsin River record. Very short river. That's only 430 miles. So my partner and I did that in 100 hours. The first sleep break we took on that one was 62 hours into the race. So when you talk about someone doing an Ironman triathlon, the pros are going to come in around 9 or 10 hours, and they're done. That's it for the day. They're done. They can now get a massage, have a beer, do whatever they want to do. My first break came 62 hours into the race. Paddling as hard as you can. That trip, that race, in 4 days, I got 6 hours of sleep. That was it. The rest you're paddling as hard as you can. I also have the record going across Lake Michigan in a canoe in the fastest time. That only took 11 hours. But the record we beat was 26 hours. So we did pretty good on that one. Let me talk to you about the book that I wrote called Escaping the Velvet Rut. Growing up as a child, my father was in sales. He would go out and try to sell insurance products to banks and credit unions. When he would come home from work, he would talk about how hard his day was because he could look at a president of a bank and show him his product, and the president would say, "I love it, I want it, my customers would do great with this," and my father would ask, "Well, when would you like to start?" And the president would say, "Well, that's okay, well, let me think about it." And that person would never pull the trigger and actually buy the product. And the main reason was, it meant that they had to change. And people hate to change. So my father had the phrase, the velvet rut. He would say these people live in a velvet rut. It's a comfortable hole, it's lined in velvet. They know this should change because it would be great for the bank, it would bring in some income, it would take care of their customers. The person loved it, but they just didn't want to change what they were doing. People fight to change. So I wrote that book, Escaping the Velvet Rut. So let me ask you a question, Andy. Let's say you just had your physical last week for insurance. Doctor calls you today and says you have 2 weeks to live. You're going to have great health, but in 14 days, it's done. Are you going to do anything in the next 14 days you haven't been doing?
Whatever I want.
Exactly. You're going to go parachuting, climb a mountain, you're going to travel, you're going to squeeze in as much life as you can in the next 14 days, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Why aren't you doing it now? That's what I like to talk about for people. The velvet rut people live in. The job they might have that they can't stand, they go to every day. You know, for most people, they get up and go to work, come home, make dinner, go to bed, get up and go to work, rinse and repeat for 40 years. And then they look back on their life and they think, wow, I didn't do anything. I didn't go after any of my goals. I didn't try that. I always wanted to do this. And they never did. I mean, that's the proverbial velvet rut. All right, Andy, one more question. You're almost done. Let's say I asked you to lay down here right now and give me 1,000 sit-ups. You're an ex-Army guy. And let's say you're in great shape and you get to 995 sit-ups. And at that 995, you fall back and you look up at me and you say, that's it? I can't give you one more. That's it. And I reach down and I open my briefcase with $1 million.
Well, I'll find a way.
And I say, could you give me 5 more? I'll bet you could crank out 5 more fast.
Absolutely.
So it's all about motivation.
Yep.
When I do my long distance endurance events, like I said, there's that constant voice of, you can't do this. Stop, it hurts. Why don't you stop? You'll feel better. We each have different motivations. Once you find what that does to motivate you, nothing's going to stop you. So you just have, that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is finding that motivation. Advice that I've given to other people in the past that are starting out doing anything, this is a simple analogy. Let's say you're a golfer and you wanted to go out golfing. What's the easiest way to improve your game? Probably go out and get lessons. But let's say you can't find somebody to give you lessons. For most people, if you go out and golf with your buddies that are really bad golfers, how do you think your round is going to be that day? Not that good. You tend to gravitate towards the people that you play with. But conversely, if you were to go out and golf with people that are much better than you, your game will increase. That's also that way with business and society and things. If you start associating with people that are successful, maybe in the industry that you're trying to get into, they will help you. But most people don't do that. I just don't understand that. People love to help other people in anything that you're trying to do and a goal that you're trying to accomplish. Never give up. I can't stress that enough. The amount of times during our races, the adversity that my partner and I went through, that you just can't give up. Keep trying, keep paddling. Things are going to change, things are going to get better. That's pretty much my message. Most people don't realize the capacity that you have in you mentally and physically. Then there's people like me that come along that I can tell you, you can push your body so far, you can hit a wall and get past that wall, and the hundreds of walls that I hit, like on the Mississippi River, couple a day, couple of hours, every hour, you have it in you. Just keep striving on and pushing on. You have the ability. So thank you for your time today. Appreciate it. Hopefully everyone escapes their velvet rut. Thanks.
Mike, absolutely appreciate it. Time.
Thank you.
And your message was simple. And what's interesting, what I love about it, is very tactical. You've proved it. You've done it. You have a world record. You liken it to what you do well. But one thing you talk about is your father very often. So he was an insurance sales guy.
Insurance sales guy. And the funniest part is, I got out of the service.
Yep.
He said, come work for me. I didn't want to, so he sent me back to what I call basic training. So I went to go work at a finance company. He said, you have to learn loans, everything about finance and credit bureau reports and all that, because if you're going to work for me, you have to know that to talk to loan officers and things. So I went to go work for him, and after a few weeks of on-the-job training, he said, go out and try to sell insurance. So I started calling on the people he used to call on.
Yeah.
And immediately knew what the Velvet Rut was about. Because I could look at somebody and show them a product and they said, oh, I love that. My customers would love that. When would you like to start? And they would say, let me think about that.
Call me in 30 days, call me in 90 days.
I just heard that sound of Velvet Rut just echoing in my head. And everybody thinks your parents don't know that much, and what do they know? And it was just uncanny how accurate that was.
Well, that is interesting. So we're both military. I came back from a deployment from Iraq. Same thing. I went to go work for my old man's company. And carpenter, completely different industry. And he has a different saying coming up on the farm, but it's almost the exact same thing. And that is, there's no hooks in your ass or trees in your way. That's it. In life, when you find yourself up against a choice, what is stopping you? And so it's interesting that our fathers, who were entrepreneurs, right? It's in us. And then we take you in the military. And you also have to step outside of the military, step outside of the legacy family business and go do your own thing, carve your own path, but you still get back to kind of where you started.
Amen.
I got to where I was, growing up at my grandparents' farm in the summer. That mindset, that's what's carried me through in the military and also in the entrepreneurial world. Did you grow up with this mindset? Did you grow up watching your father work, or where did that come from before you even joined the military?
Yes. That middle thing. No, that's how it is every night he would explain what was going on and things like that, and you don't know it, but you're slowly absorbing that information. Right. It's giving you a bank of information.
So individuals that didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family, or have men or women in their lives that challenge conventional wisdom, how do you, or how do we invoke that same intrinsic motivation in other individuals? What is the takeaway there? How do you dig within if you don't have it implanted as a youth?
My opinion is you find a mentor.
Yeah.
People love to talk. Everyone's favorite subject is themselves.
It's true.
So if you know somebody that's an entrepreneur, you go to them and say, how did you get your start? Tell me, what do I need to do? And then sit back and take notes, because they're going to tell you. People love to help.
It's true. I'll challenge one thing. I hate the word help. Because when I think of help, when you're talking about the Velvet Rut, right? You're stuck. I think about it as the hole, right? And when you're stuck in there, help is, I'm going to try to pull you out of that, right? That notion always challenges me. But I think of support.
Support.
Let me join you, and let's get out together. Because I think when the challenge is, no one wants to ask for help, or people typically don't want to ask for help. However, mentors always want to support, because there's no such thing as a self-made man or self-made woman. At the end of the day, everybody shapes and molds you. But to your point, who do you surround yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with the naysayers? Right. Are you surrounding yourself with people that never challenge themselves? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are of the same mindset, the same age, the same demographic as you? Or are you looking for mentorship that are older or younger than you? Or people that have a different experience, different industries? That's the opportunity.
So everybody has Velvet Ruts, both personally, but that's the business side of the Velvet Rut. If you associate with naysayers, like you said, and the people that say you can't do that, why should you get into that? Don't listen to them. Find somebody that's going to pull you up, teach you, train you, but test you.
I was going to say, but it has to be no shit real lessons, not just, hey, you can do it. We don't need cheerleaders.
No.
We need individuals that have real, no shit tactical advice, and then also say, hey, this is what I've done, mentoring, not teaching like this is the way. No, mentorship is, this is what's been successful for me. And I think as those of us that are business owners and our mentors, it's our obligation now to be the beacon, to show others, even in turbulent times like we faced the last 12 plus months, even in these economic downturns, in this questionable future, we're still out doing it. We're here today saying, you can, I do, and you can.
There's an old saying, they say, those that can't teach. That's not necessarily true. You can teach at any point in your career others to follow and get out of their velvet rut and chase whatever dream they're chasing.
So that's the truth. And it's our opportunity now to teach always. We can and we will. So we mentor. Maybe it's those words we need to change. It's mentor, it's support, and can. Because whether you think you can or you think you can't, as the old adage says, you're right.
Exactly.
So if there's any takeaways today, what I got is, as a world record holder, you have the clout. You've done the thing. You've been a business owner for 30 years. You wrote a book. But you don't need all that. It's about having the mindset, trusting the mentors around you. If you're fortunate enough to have a mother or a father or a mentor at an early age that teaches you something, live on that. So whether you're stuck in the velvet rut or you got a hook in your ass or there's a tree in your way, it's a mindset you gotta have.
Exactly.
So for your father's legacy and my father's legacy, right? Go out, whatever it is you do, and go do the thing. Don't get stuck in the rut. Don't allow those challenges in life to stop you from being the best you can be. That's the takeaway.
If you ever see a picture of yourself that's 10 years old, you immediately say, I can't believe how young I looked and what was all ahead of me.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen if you take a picture today and you look at it in 10 years? You might do the would've, should've, could've, I had the time, I didn't pull the trigger on that. What's stopping you? That's the velvet rut. Do it.
Like you said, act like you got 14 days to live.
Exactly.
Hey, I appreciate the time today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Big thanks to Mike Schnitzka for taking the YG stage here at Serendipity Labs. Are you ready to step on the stage, or do you know someone who is? Help us feature the best speakers around by going to YoungGunsMovement.com and applying. Who knows? You might be on the stage next. As always, YG Stage is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, Circle Electric. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our podcast, and go to YoungGunsMovement.com to stay tuned and connected with all the content we're putting out. As always, I'm your host, Andy Wines, president of Greenup Solutions. Thank you for tuning in.